G'day. It is problematic, and those problems are created by the lies and the treachery of the current parliaments of this country, and every single politician, every judge, every lawyer, every public servant, and every member of the parliaments. The problem we have is you think you're above the law. Well, somebody sent me a thing the other day, I read it, about 75 subsection 3, in which the Commonwealth or a person suing or being sued on behalf of the Commonwealth is a party. And they said you could use that to bring down the government. Well, you can't. Simple reason is we don't have a government. We have somebody called the Australian government, which isn't lawful. It hasn't been lawful since its inception. In fact, in this country we've never had a lawful federal parliament. We required at Federation 6 constitutions in place to create 6 parliaments of states. Western Australia never did it. I've explained it before. I'm not going to go into great detail because most people will remember it. But what I want to say is I keep getting the same person who thinks he knows everything because he's read the records. And the records state clearly, according to him, and only him, that there was referendums held, and each state voted to have the constitution, a constitution. Well, you can say it any way you like, but that's not true. What was put to the people was a draft constitution which had to go to England to get permission from the British Parliament to have a constitution. That constitution would then be an enabling act, which we got back with modifications to it. Modifications which are in Chapter 3 of this constitution. And it gives the High Court original jurisdiction in relation to the matters that I'm going to lay out before you, but those matters are from section 71 through to 80, including a trial by jury. And it lays out the fact that the Parliament sets up the number, but this is what else it does. Justices of the High Court and of the other courts created by the Parliament shall be appointed by the Governor-General in Council, shall not be removed except by the Governor-General in Council, on an address from both Houses of Parliament in the same session, praying for such removal on the ground of proved misbehaviour or incapacity. The High Court shall have jurisdiction with such exemptions and subject to such regulations as the Parliament prescribes to hear and determine appeals from all judges, decrees, orders and sentences of the High Court or justices exercising the original jurisdiction of the High Court, of any other federal court or court exercising federal jurisdiction of the Supreme Court of any state, or of any other court of any state, from which, at the establishment of the Commonwealth, an appeal lies to the Queen in Council. Now, you say, and you continually say, you can't go to the Privy Council because it doesn't exist. Well, that's a lie and you know it. Privy Council never ceased to exist. It was moved to the High Court of England. and into the court and took over the Court of Chancery. Then they formed the committee which deals with the issues. And it did deal with the issues, but you decided you had the right, were granted the right, the Parliament was, after it went through the complete judicial function of this country, had the right to limit the terms that we could go to England, and it was limited already to facts of breaches of the Constitution. Now that character that keeps coming on my post and saying, "Oh, it's in there, we didn't get permission for this," you don't comprehend one little thing about this country. We were 6 colonies wanting to become one colony, and we were granted that right and that right only. You can sit down, you can lie, and you can send me messages and want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. I tried twice or 3 times. My wife spoke to you. You ignored her. You ignored everything because you didn't want to know what the Constitution said. All you wanted is, I read it in the records. Well, I read the records for over 3 years before I came to the conclusion that this act is valid and lawful and binding on the courts, judges and people of every state, regardless of what your position is. But in the state of Western Australia, the judges are established by commission from the government, so they're not valid. They have to be selected by the governor in council, according to the lawful state constitution. They aren't, so we don't have any. Not one. When you read Chapter 3 of the Constitution, the whole lot of you have to be sworn officers of the Crown. Does it say that? Does it? Have you bothered to read that section? Have you bothered to read the fact that you have a right to trial by jury when they bring you into the court on indictment? When you plead not guilty, the only way they can get you into the court is on indictment. They'll say, "Oh, no, that's old-fashioned." No, it's not. You're just stupid. Stupid because you will not listen, you will not read. If you took the time to read, you'd find out what I said is correct. You want to go to our courts, it has to be done according to law, and you're not. Do we have any lawful courts? No. We don't have one current member of the Parliament which is an officer of the Commonwealth. You see, by that person putting that section up about section 75 subsection 3, he made a statement which in essence could be true but is not. I know because we filed writs of mandamus, prohibition, certiorari and other prerogative writs, which is the only way you can file into the High Court in that section, but you're guaranteed the right to do it, but that was taken away. That was taken away not by the High Court itself. They just played along and said, they're not officers of the Commonwealth, so you can't do anything about it. Read the section, they have to be officers of the Commonwealth. How can you be an officer of the Commonwealth when none of you has sworn the lawful oath in the Constitution? So what did you do in 1979 when you produced the High Court Act? You wiped out the High Court and every inferior court, including the Supreme Courts of the states. None of them swear the lawful oath. None of the public servants swear the lawful oath. It's either swear or affirm, but you must take it to be an officer of the Commonwealth. Ruth Cheatham sent it back to me, a notice saying, when we filed writs of mandamus against every politician in the state of Western Australia, she sent it back and said, they're not officers of the Commonwealth. I personally spoke to one of the registrars who explained to me they're not officers of the Commonwealth. I went away and read it. According to the Constitution, they are. When they swear the oath taken before the Governor-General and Council, which we don't have. There is no cabinet. That's a fraud. Treason. blatant lies and treason against the Crown of England and against us. There is no other way to put it. You can turn around and you can say, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I suggest you just download a copy of this and read it. Read chapter 3, you'll find out you do have a right to trial by jury. If you read Quick and Garran, which a lot of you have a copy, you need to read that and look up section 80. It actually says in the annotated one, section 80, it says you are not guaranteed a trial by jury by this section, but that's not a necessity simply because of the Great Charter. What is the Great Charter? Magna Carta. Can that we are told by somebody who thinks they're smart but is actually stupid. She keeps lying, knowing it. She keeps saying that, we're not entitled to trial by jury, and Magna Carta is only a statute that can be changed. Magna Carta is a statement of rights. Cannot be changed, cannot be moved, cannot be touched without being signed off by the reigning monarch of England. Never happened. Never happened. Don't lie and said it did. After the 1650 revolution in England, the 1688 Bill of Rights, habeas corpus, Act of Settlement, and Magna Carta and the King James Bible were put in place as the supreme laws of England. How do we know that? By reading. Read the statements by Lord Coke. He said God's law existed before all other law. It exists now until the future, until the people take it out. Didn't say anything about peanuts taking it out. Said people. People are human beings who actually think, not peanuts who have got the idea you're above the law, called politicians and all the rest of us. You are just liars. If you listen to that donkey, who's the Deputy Prime Minister, dribbling on, couldn't even answer the question. He didn't even know what was going on around him by the sound of him. And then you got Albanese and Burke and Penny Wong and this clown who brought the ISIS brides here. How many? There was 8 or 9 to start off with, and then it turned out there was 49. And look at the other members of ISIS and these treasonous people, dangerous treasonous people from other countries. How come they came here? And what's Albanese fighting? A royal commission. Well, I thought about the legalities of a royal commission. How do you have a royal commission when there's no royal? Look at that. We've got a Royal Styles and Titles Act. It's an act. It's not a law. It cannot be a law. There was nobody to sign it into law. And it didn't happen, so it's not. You can sit in your little rooms collecting your big lumps of money, running around kissing the backsides of all these Satan-worshipping communist knobheads who do not know the laws of this country, and you don't obviously know, or if you do, you're concealing it. Either way, you're committing treason. Every single politician that serves a party and not the people, and that's exactly what you're doing. We serve the people. No, you don't. None of you. I'm sorry, Pauline, you got some good ideas, but you are not serving the people while you're a political party. We have a legitimate Imperial Act whereby every parliament must be sworn in, and you were not, nor was anybody else in this country. Everyone, before taking up their position, must swear the oath of allegiance. Section 42 of the Constitution says every senator and every member of the House of Representatives, before taking their seat, must swear the oath in the Constitution. None of them do. None of them do, because this is the Constitution, not the green piece of garbage. No one authorised that, and no one's going to authorise it because they need our permission. And when you tried it on for a republic, we said no. Someone tried to say, oh, Australia was set up to be a republic. No, it wasn't. It was set up to be a self-governing colony of England under Clause 8. Did we authorise you to change that, alter it, or interfere with that? No. Do you have to? Oh yeah, you do. Absolutely you do. You don't get to change it without, or alter it, by the way, under 128, without getting permission from us. But then you change the Constitution when you remove Section 127 in 1967. You interfered with two other sections, changed them. Oh, but that didn't alter the Constitution. Yes, it did. Did you have the authority? No. Since then, every parliament's been sitting in blatant treason. And you've done nothing for the Aboriginal people. Oh, you put out there, you've got all this rhetoric going about with using the Aboriginal machine causing division between everybody, when you know full well, and always have, that the Negrito people were here before them. Why aren't you dealing with that? You don't want to deal with the truth. Now let's deal with some other issues. Do judges in this state swear the oath of allegiance? No, they don't. In two cases, one is Headley versus Spivey, Wheeler, call her Justice Wheeler, she was a quorum, so she wasn't no justice there at all. She was sitting unlawfully. She stated, I had a commission from the government to be a judge. You don't get a commission from the government. You get selected by the governor of the state and sworn in as an officer of the Crown. You were not, nor was Pullen and Buzz. So in my case, they sat in fraud and treason. But don't let that worry you too much. Wayne Stewart Martin sat for almost 15 years, and still purporting to sit as a retired Chief Justice. He never was a Chief Justice. To be a Chief Justice, he had to be an officer of the Crown. On the 21st of June 2011 in the Supreme Court, I said to him, have you sworn the oath contained in the Constitution? He said, no, I haven't. And I said, why not? He said, I don't have to. Well, sorry. No, actually, I'm not sorry. You lied to the court. You lied to me. And you do have to. And the courts, according to your books that you wrote, Wayne Martin, said the court can speak law into being. No, it can't. No, it can't. It can confirm that a law is lawful or dismiss it. Go to the Constitution, any court of competent jurisdiction, but you weren't one, ever. Not once. I have a lot of people say, oh, you lost every case you went there. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. But I don't have to prove anything. You're making the claim. You tell me which cases I actually lost. Did you ever bother to read them? Did you know what happened? In Glue versus the Governor of Western Australia, the only thing they tried to get is 30-odd grand's worth of costs, and they didn't get any. In the two cases that are before the court, the Supreme Court, high treason and fraud in the Supreme Court, what happened there? Oh, look at that. The good old judges refused to comply with the Constitution. Refused to comply with it. And declare the Magistrate Act to be invalid. I just read or told you about Chapter 3. They refused to comply with Chapter 3 of the Constitution and declare that law of the state, being the Magistrates Court Act, to be invalid by transgressing the Constitution. They refused. Why? because they were sitting in treason. They hadn't sworn the oath either. Neither of them. And when I pushed them, they got up and took off out of the court. Why? Because they were lying to the court and lying to me. Wayne Martin in Glue versus Frank Jasper Proprietary Limited listened to 3 witnesses, the key witnesses, lie in the court, and when I proved that he ignored it. He forced me to sum up prior to them, and they were suing me. He ordered me to. He refused to give me a copy of the transcripts every day so that I could prepare my case for the next day, but they had it every day. He said, I don't have authority to do that. I said, oh, you don't have authority to do it, so why are you giving it to them? He refused to allow me to have a trial by jury because I could have proved easily, and I did, that they were all lying. I could prove it, and you knew it. You said, oh, you can't have a trial by a jury because it's too much paperwork. Well, what about some of the tax cases? They're huge, and you deal with those. But you didn't worry about that. Then you decided you could override international law and find that all the patents were of the same invention. That was another lie. And when I propped you on that, you said you got the right to do that. No, you don't. You can't overturn federal laws in this country or any law in this country without a reason, a lawful reason. You had none. You had none. What you wanted to do was fine for them. And guess what? They still got nothing. They still don't even know how it works. I read their latest lies to the patents office in America where they said I assigned all my patents over to them. No, I didn't. I have the evidence of exactly what happened. They weren't assigned to anybody. They were signed back to my other company and then to me and then hidden. So thank you very much for paying for the patents for the last 10 years. That was very good of you. But it doesn't make any difference. You still lied to the court. Everything you said was fraud. Now let's look at other things that are going on in this country. You brought those ISIS brides here. You knew the people didn't want it, but you wasted millions and millions of dollars of taxpayers' money to bring people here who are totally undesirable. This is not a hate speech. I don't care who they were involved in. They left this country to get married to and hang around with people who are detrimental to this country. If they came in here lawfully, and it was lawful, if it was, then I would accept that. But it's not lawful. You cowered around behind the scenes like slimy criminals and brought them in here. Then it is said, and I don't know if it's true, and I'm not saying it is, rumours are that you knew of what these people were up to. If they are, you need to stand trial. But you don't want an inquiry. You want one of your politicians to do the inquiry. No. A royal commission has to be taken up by lawful judges. We haven't got any. Lawful officers of the crown. We haven't got any. So where do you get the royal from? You're saying no. You're saying no because you're trying to protect yourself. Protect yourself from what? Committing treason against this country. What's coming out, Albanese, is you're a traitor. So is every politician. You're serving your political parties and your ideals, not the will of the people. That is blatant treason. Treason against us. Then you've got goons now who are not officers of the crown, call themselves public officers, and according to a ruling of the court in Geraldton, they are. And under the Criminal Investigation Act, they are. They're creatures of statute. Then they can never be officers of the Crown. Justice Kirby ruled that in Sydney City Council versus Reid. If you're a creature of statute, you can never be an officer of the Crown. If you're a public officer, you are a creature of statute. So you can never be an officer of the Crown. His ruling. Are you going to listen to him? Obviously not. You think you're above the law, but you're not. So you will be heading to jail. How soon, I don't know, but you will. And you will go there for the rest of your life with absolutely nothing. I've seen that many people quoting different things, but any political party that registers itself does so in treason. A lot of people ask the question, what are you doing about it? How can we do this? How can we do that? We file every single one of these videos into England, to the House of Lords, the House of Commons, and the King Charles himself. We want answers. We got answers back, saying they're looking at it, and they're going to deal with it. They haven't as yet, but that's what we're doing. So we are doing it. The question goes back to all the people who say, oh, we got all the information, so now what are you doing about it? No, what are you doing about it? We're doing the maximum we can. Can you do something? Yeah, get off your backside and do something. Stand up and say no. Object to your local politician that these clowns are walking around with automatic rifles. What for? Oh, if a terrorist comes in there. What are you scared of? What are you scared of? Are you scared of them? Well, why are you letting them in this country? You are so stupid to the public. They look at you and they think, why did you let all those ISIS brides come here? We didn't want them. They were so bent and twisted when they finished their little sessions against this country, but for communism and for total control of us, which is what you want. I'm talking about you politicians who sit in your little offices and think, we have to do what you say. No, we don't. No, we don't. And you're not going to force it. If you, Albanese, are pushing for an idiot like Starmer, his methods, don't go there. I'm not threatening you. I'm promising you the people of this country will not stand for it. You think you've got enough people on your side. You've got nothing. You know nothing. You were lucky to get through primary school or kindergarten with your mentality. You don't care about the people of this country. No politician does. They care about their money they can get, the pension they're going to get, and getting the next lot of votes. That's all we're getting out of you, nothing more. I'm not going to comment about anything that's coming up here. I paused for a second because we had a wandering fly keeps wandering across the lens, but don't worry about it. He's gone now. What I want to instill in your head, we are supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority is ours. What does that mean? It means if any of these politicians that are serving us like they're required to step above the line of servant to supreme, they're sitting in blatant treason. Our Constitution and the interpretation by the framers who framed it for us said the Parliament's not supreme, it's not sovereign, it has no rights other than what's granted by the Constitution. The Commonwealth is not the government, the Commonwealth is the people. Comprehend what's on page 701 of the annotated Constitution, ours, not the green piece of garbage that belongs to and it's actually copyrighted to the political parties. We don't want it. It's garbage. It's lies and fraud, twisted words from twisted minds. The problem we have in this country, when you put something on here, you get absolute morons come on here. You can't call them anything else. Called trolls. They ask stupid questions. They put doubt in people's mind and think we just sit back and we're just going to do nothing. That's what you're thinking. We are going to do nothing, but that's not true. You're in for a shock because the people of this country are standing up. They're learning. And when they stand up, these cops are walking around with their long rifles, automatic rifles. You've got to understand this. You can take every single gun off everybody in this country. Are you going to take knives, scissors, forks, spoons? Are we going to all have to have flexible plastic plates and everything else to suit you? No. Everything can be made a weapon and made instantly and concealed just because it's laying on the ground. But you can't get your head around the fact that people have the right to stand up to you. Why? Because this Constitution says so. When you took or changed the High Court, you took away our rights to issue writs against every politician. Julia Gillard knew it. Julie Bishop knew it. Every politician knows it. You do enough training. If you aren't, start reading, and a lot, and quick, before you spend the rest of your life in jail and every single thing that you've got is removed from you. And believe me, that's going to happen because the people are not going to stand it. You think they riot in England? Well, you're to cop them here when they lose it. You think you've dumbed us down? No, you haven't. No, you haven't. The people in this country have had enough. I'm not going to rant all day. I'm going to say, you get somebody who has sworn a lawful oath, a group of them, to sit and listen to a commission, a royal commission under the Crown, because no Crown, no right, no authority, and no power. Every power exercised by anybody in this country must be decidedly shown in the Constitution as granted by authority, who by us the people, we the people, through people who represent us the people, not political parties. You can sit there and you can continue to lie, but it's coming out. I'm not going to keep doing this. The end of this month, I turn 78. I do not suffer from Alzheimer's or anything else. I have regular tests, I stay healthy. But I'm not going to pander to people who think you can walk out in public with weapons and walk back in again, because I'll tell you now, the second you do that, the government is waiting for you to do it, so they have a reason to stop you. They don't want us to exist in this country. They don't want Aboriginals or anybody else to exist. They want their ideals. Socialist communist is not what this country is. This country was established on principles of the Church of England without the Roman Church. In fact, imperial law says no Catholic can hold a position under the Crown. Doesn't say you can't believe in that religion, just says you can't, because according to imperial law, you can't be trusted. Our Constitution says clearly, follow our customs and beliefs, assimilate into our society, which you're not doing, or get out. Telling everybody you're taking this country over is not assimilating. How come you're not on the way out? I don't care what religion you are, you don't get to say that. That is treason. That is hate speech. You hate this country, otherwise you would comply. And as for you politicians giving away money, you're borrowing it from the Reserve Bank, which isn't our bank. So you're borrowing it outside this country, and you're all registered businesses with ABN numbers. You own the debt, we don't. You can't just say, oh, we borrowed on your behalf and Australia gave it. No, the Australian government did, but that's not our government. The Commonwealth Parliament, the Executive and the Legislature are our government. not you clowns. So you're going to borrow all the money you like, but we owe nothing. Nothing. And are we going to pay it? No. And while we're on the subject, you steal every day from the people of this country. You give away our gas, give away all our minerals and everything else, and you think you're funny. You think you're funny, but you're not. All you're doing is stealing. You stole our properties. Why did you steal them? Oh, you sold the titles to a super fund. Where did the money go? To the Roman Church to pay for what their priests did to the victims. Isn't that true, McGowan? That's what you said. But then you're not very bright, because you're the one that was translating English into English and made a fool of yourself right across the world. I thought that was good when someone picked it up in America, put it all over the internet, and let everybody know what a moron you really are. But you're a filthy traitor and a liar. See, it was you and Dodgy Roger who put in place the Acts Amendment Appeals Court and Legal Practice Act and took the Crown out and created an entity known as the state, which does not exist in law. Then you created the Oaths, Affidavits and Statutory Declarations Act in 2005 and removed the schedule to the state constitution. Unfortunately for your brain, there's no schedule in the state constitution. The oath is actually in the middle of it, the lawful one, not the piece of garbage you're using. So, while you ponder what I've said, like it or lump it, you are nothing but a disgusting bunch of liars. And your time is coming. How do we know? It's been predicted by a very safe person who predicts things. And your Waterloo is coming. You are not going to get what you want. Why? Because we don't want it. If you think the people are going to sit back and let you get what you want, no. Are we going to fight you? We can fight you any way we want. Under Magna Carta. We can do what we want. So Winston Churchill said, he said clearly, and he said, we need to be vigilant, because under the provisions of Magna Carta, the people can do whatever it takes to put our laws back in place. He said, and he was correct, 100%. You should listen to what I've just said, because like it or lump it, we're going to take it back off you, one way or the other. Read into it what you like. I'm promising the people will stand up. I know the people. You're not even interested in talking to half of them because you're too stupid to understand. You understand that? You do not understand. You don't want to know. You don't want to know. You think, oh, I can just breeze through this. My covenant. You look around Albanese for all the people around you to see if you got enough of you standing there, because you're too gutless to stand alone. I proved in the past I'm not gutless to stand alone. I stood alone while people were punching me, and I stood over the person that was underneath me because some king hit him from the side, and the only way I could save his life was to stand over him. So what? That was my job. Did I get a few bruises? Yes, but I didn't go down. A few others did, and I'm not bragging, I'm just stating a fact. If you think I'm walking away, get with the picture. I'm not going anyway. The cops are personating officers of the Crown. They are not officers of the Crown. I proved that. The actual Criminal Investigation Act of Western Australia says they're not. Read it and weep. Section 41, subsection 1. You can't be both. You can either be a public officer or a police officer. It says that. Wake up. Now, I'm not going to keep going. You deal with what's going on. You're so stupid, you people, you think you're going to get away with it. No, you're not. And you people, every single one of you goes home to your own house. You become very vulnerable. Doesn't matter what religion you are, who you are, or where you go, or how much you swear on here, which some of you do, and you think you're tough, you're not. You are getting worse, one particular person. Change your attitude. You are winning with your ideas because they are correct. We have to work together. We are the Commonwealth of Australia. We are not a republic. We are not anything else. And while the last thing I want to leave with you, the rule of law isn't guilty until you prove your innocence. We have a rule of law, and that is a presumption of innocence until the person suing you or prosecuting you proves your guilt. And any magistrate who thinks they can take our constitution and throw it in the bin or seize it off people like happened recently and tell everybody the constitution has no authority. If the constitution hasn't got any authority, then you don't have any. Your authority to exist comes from this, under the Judiciary Act and under the Judicature under Chapter 3. Without that you have no authority. And if you're a lawyer, your oath is to the Crown Corporation of the City of London. Nothing else. You're a nothing except a liar, a fraud and a traitor. So you just live with that. In 2006, you're going to be exposed. Openly exposed. You think you can jail people, Albanese? No. You're not going to get away with that stupidity. You got no guts. You should have big yellow streaks running down your back, and they'll be running continuously, because that's who you are. A spineless, gutless flea with a big mouth who thinks you can speak commands and we're going to abide by them. No. No, we're not. And I never will. So you have a lovely year.